Welcome back to the Aligned and Unstoppable podcast. This one is so special. I have got a lot of guests with me today. I'm bringing my actual real students from the IEA training with me. And so we're going to be talking about what a lot of practitioners have the problem with, which is how do we break up with the broke mindset, the broke mentality, the broke paradigm, and usher in a new era for impact-driven healers, coaches, and leaders. And that's really what I'm here to do. That's part of my mission. And that's certainly what the integrated energy alignment practitioners are doing as well, to spread this light. So in this episode, you're going to hear me interview about 7 of my past and a couple of current students from the IEA training. So we're going to talk about why did I create this training? Who is it for? Who is it not for? Some of the success stories, some of the big hurdles that they overcame. And one of the biggest things that I wanted to share with you for anybody who's interested in either becoming an energy practitioner or adding to your current coaching or healing roster, just to have another tool in your tool belt. This is a whole nother level of integrity. The course, the curriculum, the practice sessions, it pushed me outside of my comfort zone. And that's the gift that keeps on giving for the students. So every single one of the students at some point or another was pushed outside of their comfort zone. And if you are ready for hitting new milestones, becoming the person that you didn't even know you were capable of, seeing how intrinsically strong and intuitive and courageous you are, you can absolutely get there through the IEA training. The IEA training is not for the faint of heart. It's not for everybody. We talked about the difference between the seriousness and the high level of integrity of the IEA training compared to some of those courses that people are selling for a few bucks through ads. And, that level of integrity as well. So we're going to get to all that and so much more in this week's podcast. But before we do, this is also an audio podcast as well as a video podcast. So if you go over to emilyaarons.com/video, you can actually watch the entire episode over on my YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because I do release my podcast episodes as well as other content here that's going to help you open up your intuition, connect with your guides, connect with your energy, and so much more. If you are a new listener and you're really excited, I'm so happy that you're here. And what I also want to say was kind of funny is that some of the practitioners share their stories that they started here too, just like you, listening to the podcast, searching for a way to get more connected with yourself, your intuition, maybe a way to grow your business. And so if you've been a podcast listener for a while, this episode might just be exactly the answer to your prayers if you're wanting to go to that next level, whether it's within yourself or with me. Anyways, let's get into this week's episode. And I also have a special announcement at the end of the training. I'll kind of want to get you to listen to it, but I also will tell you too, I have a brand new exclusive workshop coming out with the title, Breaking Up with Broke, Ushering a New Era of Impact-Driven Coaches, Healers, and Leaders. It is only available to people who are on the IEA waitlist. So if you are serious about up-leveling your life, growing a business, and creating profits, head on over to emilyaarons.com/IEA. The link will be also in the show notes. Get on that wait list and it will get you that spot inside of my very exclusive workshop coming up over on June 15th. So that's Thursday, June 15th, Breaking Up with Broke. Again, listen to it. I'll give you the details at the end of the episode. Here is this week's episode with my IEA coaches, my trainees, and my graduates. Hey, podcast listeners, welcome back. I am so excited. This is an episode that has been a long time coming, and I do really mean that with everything in me. I have brought together a stellar group of students from my IEA training, that's Integrated Energy Alignment Training. I've invited them to be here, both past students and who are graduated, as well as some current students who are about to graduate. And I wanted them to be here because I felt like this is a great conversation to have with all of them present versus me just telling you what it is. So today's episode, we're going to talk about really what it is to break up with being broke and to tap into your own energy, your own skill set, building a business, and really how these folks who are here in this room with me, how they got to join the IEA training. They're going to be sharing from their own words, not from mine, of their experience and their background. So please welcome them all. I've got Carla Miller, Jamie Lacazzi, Shannon Miller, Allison Delatorre, Emily Pearl, Susie Almeida, and Millie Barra. So welcome them all. Thank you. All of you are waving. For those of you who are listening to the podcast, please also check out my YouTube channel. So emilyarons.com/YouTube. You will get a full view of everybody here that I'm looking at, so you can kind of get the feel of like the energy in the space as well. So before I get into kind of interviewing my friends here, I want to talk about sort of where IEA came from. So I've been doing energy work for the last 23 years. I was trained in polarity therapy and other advanced energy trainings and Akashic records and distance healing. And it was in January of 2022 where I had actually just had COVID. I was super sick and I pretty much felt like I hit my rock bottom and I bottomed out totally. And when I woke up the next morning, I started listening to a couple of my own meditations that cleared my energy, got me back feeling amazing. And it was like I snapped my finger and suddenly this whole program was like ready to come in and be delivered. So that morning I was like, hey, Andrew, my husband, I'm like, please take the children for a few hours. I have some channeling to do. And I basically just wrote out the entirety of the framework for the IEA training, which I will say is pretty genius, except for the fact that I had no idea how to actually put that all together. That came through connecting with Amanda Pickering, who is now my COO. I hired her at the time just to be the project manager, but fortunately for me, she's still here. I'm so grateful. So the background was basically I had brought this program together because I knew practitioners that needed the business skills who had been doing other certifications. Maybe they did breath work or hypnotherapy or Reiki or other sorts of certifications, but didn't have the business skills. And also the people who maybe just wanted a career change. They wanted to get deeper into their spiritual practice or deeper into healing work. And this was completely a new avenue for them. So by a show of hands, raise your hand if the IEA training was the first ever brand new to healing modality of this sort. Raise your hands, friends. So Jamie, Carla wiggling, kind of. How about Susie? Is this new for you? Yes. Yeah. So for you as well. Yeah. And then for Shannon and Allison, Emily and Millie, you guys all had a lot of training. You've been through multiple So the ladies who've had all the trainings, would you mind sharing some of the trainings that you'd already been through that you maybe still utilize?
Yeah, I'll go. So I'm a certified emotion code and body code practitioner, along with EFT tapping, so emotional freedom technique tapping. And I had worked in my own practice for about 2 years. I entered it in 2020. And really, though, I feel like those modalities that I use, while they are in the energy medicine field, right, and working with your energy field, they were very like, I had charts to lean on and like very tangible for me versus what Emily offers, which is really trusting my own gifts and my own abilities, my intuition. And it's just been really beautiful to see how I've been able to kind of bridge both of them, but really settle into my calling as an energy worker. So
yeah, I love that. And I mean, that's why the word integrated is in the name. It is designed to be able to blend into other modalities as well. Thanks, Millie. What about Emily? Have you found like you can blend the work with like you do Akashic records and so many other things, but how do you feel it's been for you in your practice?
I definitely feel like I'm a certified Akashic Record consultant, and I also do sole purpose success coaching. And I've learned energy work through many different modalities, through Reiki, through the Akashic Record work. I've worked with Barbara Brennan, like the Hands of Light style healing. So with integrating it into the IEA certification, it's integrated really well. The biggest reason I really wanted to go into IEA is for the online business training, to learn how to put an online business together, but also I really wanted to learn how to talk about the energy work more, like with my clients, and be able to verbalize like what I was feeling and what was happening. And I definitely feel like I've been able to integrate that really well into this work.
Oh, good.
So
I love that. And that's like part of the biggest challenge with practitioners who aren't making the money they desire, is simply like articulating your offer, articulating the transformation. And from day one, I remember you guys all going through the program, like, how do I tell people I have these practice sessions? What exactly is this? It's like, that's where we start. Versus a lot of times after certifications are through, you're like, now how do I get people? So that's also what makes IEA so different and so special, is that you're starting practice sessions from really day one, and being able to articulate what you do, how you do it, who it's for, who it's not for, and the transformation that's possible is a lot of the work that goes into, being able to sell yourself, being able to talk in session and outside of session, really be able to market yourself. So other thing is that the IEA training, which is different from, I don't know if you guys get served a lot of ads for other courses or certifications. I've been seeing a lot of them, like get breath work for only $17, be certified crystal bowl healer, and like these different certifications. And then it's like at a bargain basement, low rate. I'm curious what you guys feel about that. Do you feel like that those low prices keep the integrity of the training, or do you feel like they're just like trying to appeal to masses and just like pushing things out there? What do you guys feel about that?
I actually did one of those.
Oh yeah,
courses.
tell me about that, Carla.
Well, after doing IEA, I was very disappointed, and I have actually invested in another coach to relearn. I feel it's more about just getting the people and getting the sell. Like it was a Reiki course, and we just watched the modules, and then at the end she did the see, I can't even remember what it's
exactly.
and then afterwards, so we got like an initiation, but then afterwards there was no like feedback from her. There was no way to ask questions. You to email them, and you didn't have this connection with other people, to converse about what were coming up for you or what you'd experienced, and getting other people's views and things. So yeah, I think you set the bar so high. I'm really going to struggle to go on another course with other people. So yeah, I am not a fan of, not that every low course I'm sure is not the same, but my experience wasn't very good.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. And I think, thank you for saying that. And I think that's also been what's been so challenging for me as the course creator, is setting such a high bar, setting such a high standard for integrity to hold the healing art, but also to be able to hold the integrity to hold my mission, which is to help impact the lives of millions of practitioners, to help create wealth for them. And if I'm setting such a low bar and letting anybody in the door, I'm not really caring about their practice sessions, or if they are practicing, or anything to even give them the time to answer their questions, that's setting such a low standard. So for me, setting this high standard, it does require a lot more of me. It requires a lot more of my team. But that's what we want. And part of that is to uphold this level of seriousness. And I know you guys had gone through your ups and downs through completing the course. Has anybody raise your hand at any of the point in the IEA training? Did you feel like, oh shoot, like, I don't know if I can make it. I don't think I can finish this. This is like pretty rigorous. So the majority. Okay. All right. Everybody but Allison. Thank you. Allison, can you tell me about that? Because everybody else raised their hand.
Well, I think I've done so many certification classes. I've never done any of the low cost ones. So I'm used to the fact of, and at least I think it partially has to do with me as well, that when I set my mind to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it half-assed, and I'm going to complete it.
Yeah.
Like that's who I am. So, and having done so many other certification courses that required practice sessions and paid practice sessions and all of that, it was kind of like, oh, this is totally manageable.
I love that. Well, thank you. And like, really thank you, because when you first signed up, I was like, okay, so there are going to be practitioners who are really dedicated, who are really here to take it seriously. So you joining was evidence that there was more people out there for me. That's what you also gave me that little gift too. Because I really believe that part of the reason that we have this like broke healer, broke coach thing that's going on, this narrative that's going on, is partly to do with these cheap courses that have no integrity behind them. And people don't actually care if you go through them, if you complete them, if you practice, if you don't, it doesn't really matter. And so it's like, just bring some more people in here. And so you also are in the minority in that most people who do online courses do not complete them. So right. You have the mindset of like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I feel the same way. I'm the same. If I sign up, like I'm going to try to do 17 modules in a day. And like, I want to go through it as fast as possible. That's a character flaw of my own, but really part of what is so special is that we do take the time to have an integration week. So basically the formula of IEA, we have 3 weeks on, 1 week off. And every single month, the students are required to do a certain number of practice sessions, single sessions. And then at a certain point in the program, they start to build up their confidence a little bit, and they start to get a little bit more excited about what they're doing and knowing what they're doing. So then we start to charge for our sessions. And I remember, so before I get into that, actually, I'm feeling like I want to back up. When you guys, so the folks of you, like I would say Jamie and Susie, folks who had never done any sort of training before, when you had to start doing practice sessions, they were required. What kind of came up for you?
The practice sessions were interesting. I would say, to kind of like backtrack a little bit, is I found the hardest part of the course the first couple weeks, and even our first session where we did energy work on each other, not even clients yet. Like I was so nervous, but then eventually I warmed up and got into it. And that's what I was here for, was to learn how to tap into my intuition. And so when doing the practice sessions, I was scared, but I kind of just gave up that control and kind of tapped into my body like you taught us to, and just rolled with it. And so after the first round, I did 10 sessions. I was like, okay, I got through it. And then I saw the next month that people were returning for more sessions. And so that was definitely a confidence booster that okay, I can get through the rest of this course. Let's keep going. So It was really fun.
And I remember when you started too, you're like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. And this is probably not for me. I don't know if is it for me? I don't know what I'm even here for. I remember you were like that.
Yeah, because I come from, I work in forensic science, and how I found you actually, Emily, and you know this story, is that I was in a dark space. My grandfather passed away. I found out I didn't want to be a doctor anymore. I was having trouble in some relationships that I had. And I found your podcast randomly. I loved your picture. And so the little icon you have on your podcast, and I was like, let's try this one out. And from the minute I listened to you, I was like, this is it, right? I was like, I want to work with her. And this has been the whole training course. IEA was offered, and I was like, this is it. And yeah, when I enrolled in your course, I had no intention of being a practitioner. I solely signed up to learn how to control my own energy and really listen to my mind, my body, my soul, what it needs, because my entire life, I've only ever been told what I need. Wow. And so my mindset going into your training was just to learn about myself And I ended up finding out that I loved this field of work. And I enrolled in the coach training for that reason.
Yes, you did. I love it. I'm curious, anybody else want to share their sort of like, I haven't heard from you, Shannon, yet either. Sort of what drew you to IEA initially?
Kind of along the same lines as Jamie. I actually came across your podcast. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, let's listen to this. And so in listening to you, that kind of got me interested in a lot of the work that you did. And I signed up for M&A and then was like, okay, well, she's got an IEA, so let's do that. And starting into the program, I was like, well, I don't know if I can, afford to do this. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this for me. I'm just going to sign up. And it was like the minute that I signed up, it was like, oh, and by the way, here's the the cash flow you were asking for to pay for it. So I was like, score.
Oh my gosh, what happened? I love hearing these stories. I never get old. What happened what shifted?
I guess for me, it was my whole mindset of, okay, well, I'm not interested in the field that, I'm currently in. So, I want to kind of dive in and go head straight into energy work. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to sign up for this certification. And I was like, okay, in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this. Let's just sign up for the, I think it was like monthly payment plans. And I was like, okay, all right. And so as soon as I had made the decision for myself to do it and sign up, then all of a sudden, the government was like, oh, you overpaid on your taxes. Here you go. And I was like, score. So pretty much that refund pretty much paid for the certification in full. So,
oh my God. I do remember when you signed up, when you started to payments, and then you said, is it okay if I also pay in full? Which is like any course creator, by the way, it's like your favorite thing that anybody ever emails you. You're like, would it be okay? Of course it would be okay. Get over here. That's amazing. Anybody else have an interesting story like that when you first signed up, having sort of something shift or miraculous happen for you, not knowing how to pay, and then suddenly something happened?
I can say I worked with Emily in a few different capacities, one-on-one, and then also now in IEA. And every single time is like amazing, where I have like these new clients that come out of the woodwork that I have no idea how they found me. Like I had 4 new clients that were referred to me by a woman I've never met, have no idea how she found me. And she just started sending me clients after I signed up for your stuff. And I was like, okay, I'll take it.
Oh, yes. Didn't that happen to you, Jamie? Something like that happened to you? Like
yes. Recently, someone found me through your Facebook platform.
Okay. The group.
Yeah. She scrolled through because I don't think, I'm not a trainer or practitioner anymore, so I don't have training sessions, but she said she was going through some stuff and she wanted to see you. She knew you were offering sessions or our sessions, and she was like scrolling way down and she found me and she signed up and booked a session. And then from there, she got 2 other people to book sessions with me. So it's ever since working with you, Emily, and doing this IEA and like tapping into myself, like things have just been coming to me. Like I think it and I receive it. It's crazy.
Love it. So good. And I was going to mention that too, is that part of what was so genius that I cannot take credit for, this is what was channeled through, was part of the practitioners' practice sessions. We share their booking links within my Mastering Ascension paid community of people who like energy work. That's why they're there. They trust me and they're interested in getting more healing. And so basically it's free advertising to people who are already primed and ready, who would like to have some of the work by them. So every single month we promote their links, which is really a huge benefit to the members, but also a great way for the practitioners to get practice sessions with people who they don't necessarily know, and wouldn't otherwise be able to like bring people in, because it's not always the easiest thing. So I was going to ask you, Susie, too, around how it felt to start to start doing practice sessions after, like, starting the program.
It was scary. First of all, when you don't do like a certification and you're not sure of your own intuition, and then you're faced with, well, now you've got to trust your intuition, first of all, and do a session. It was nerve-wracking. And trusting my intuition has been the biggest thing. With the certification, it's growing. It's getting 10 times better. Your program, the way it guides you into trusting and believing in yourself, and the practice sessions, it just allows you to expand. Now, yeah, I made cards. I'm trying to get out there. But the last 2 weeks has been a bummer for me because I allowed someone to literally put me down, and it just stayed with me. But knowing what you've taught us in the course, I know that it will happen, and it is. It's like Jamie says, like everyone says, it's changing your mindset and your perception and believing in yourself. And the way I feel with the certification from you, Emily, you know that you have guidance, you know that you have help, you know that you can turn to your team for help or answers or practice, which allowed me to grow as a person, because I was in a dark place before it was like, Shannon, I was on your M&A, and I remember listening to your first meditation and I cried. But this is where, like, how I realized how much I grew, and that was just listening to your podcast. And then once you came out with the IEA certification, I had to do it.
Yeah. How did you decide? Like, what was it for you that you wanted to sign? What made you want to join IEA?
Knowing that I already had like intuition, and I wanted to know, how can I really tap into who am I and what am I here for? Looking at, like, those cheaper courses, yeah. Like, your certification to me stood out because there was so much to it. That I was like, I just have to do it. It was just the right time for me to grow.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you decided. So, okay, how about for the real fun was when I forced you guys to charge for your sessions. No longer everybody and anyone is like, it's free. And everyone's like, woo, it's like a party. We're raving out in the backyard. We're barbecuing. There's music on. There's confetti somewhere. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, so also we're going to start charging. And you look behind, you're like, where'd everybody go? What happened? Anybody want to share a little fun story of their own about that? Because I know that it definitely happened to every single one of you.
I would have to say that when we went from free sessions to charging, I had a whole WTF moment. Because, here you had all these people lining up for free sessions. And then once you started charging, it was like crickets. So I kind of had to get inventive and kind of come up with a strategy of, okay, well, let's figure out what works and what doesn't work.
So what worked for you? Tell me what didn't work. Anybody want to share a bad tip? No, share what were you doing at first that wasn't working, and what did you learn to start doing?
I would probably have to say when I first started putting myself out there, it was kind of like okay, this is what I'm doing. Do you want to sign up? And, it was kind of like, meh. And then once I kind of got a feel for, the type of sessions that I was constantly having and the things that were coming up, like, clarity or purpose, then you kind of, where I was able to kind of put, I don't want to say marketing, but kind of put myself out there.
It is marketing, and being able to really articulate the transformation that you are delivering for people. For sure. Yeah. And also I want to kind of give you a little high five for something else that you did, because in one of the coaching calls, you came in with this problem, and I said, do you mind if I take a look at your Facebook page? And when I looked at it, I saw sort of a static image and other beautiful quotes and other like little pretty memes and flowers. And I said, all right, so here's the first problem. You're a personal brand. Now, this is not to call out Shannon by herself. This is a lot of people. And I'm sure there's a lot of people listening right now who are like feeling that they're being called out. I do this with love. I really do. When you are a personal brand and you show a lotus flower or a quote, how are people supposed to connect with you? They can't. And so this is how we hide in plain sight. And Shannon, I said something to that degree of, I see you, but I don't see you. This is technically a page to promote your work. However, I don't see you anywhere on any of these pictures. How am I going to work with you? Within the day, you got your hair done. You took the most gorgeous selfie with your eyes looking right at the camera, just so. And it was like, boom, there she is. And it's like being so open and so coachable, that started to open up people also coming in to say yes for you, I feel. Yeah.
I'd have to totally agree. Yeah. Because changing the picture and everything, it was like, oh, hey.
Did you have any resistance when you finally were very visible, like it was actually you on there?
At first I did, because with the belief system that I at the time was working through, I had a really hard time with being seen. So I had quite a bit of resistance at first. I was like, well, I don't know if I want to put my picture out there. And then finally, I kind of sat with it and I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. So I did all this stuff and I was like, oh, so.
Yeah. A lot of people, we're afraid of the judgment of others. We're afraid of really being out there. And these things can keep us small, keep us sort of in our little area for far too long. And even sometimes one of the things, not to skip ahead, but one of the things we were talking about at the recent retreat that we all did was around, just speaking directly to the customer who is there, who wants to work with you. Are we giving them a lot of colors and images and lots of words, and that's confusing them and overwhelming them? Or are we able to clearly connect with them and give them exactly what they want? Maybe it's a short, quick win. Maybe it's a paid session. Maybe it's another something. But there's so much work that we can always do on that. And I want to share Carla's story, because I remember Carla, when we increased prices, that was definitely a block for you, and you overcame it like nothing else. So I would love for you to share that story.
So I overcame blocks at every single module. I was sat there in the sessions being like, oh my God, I can't do this next bit. How am I going to go from 10 to 20 minutes to 20 to 30? And all the women and Emily were just so amazing that when we got to charging, I think we all went in really low, didn't we, with the prices? And no, it was crickets again, and no one was signing up. And I just was like, I need to start showing up as the person that I want to be, as the energy practitioner I want to be. So what price do I want to charge? And I think we did a what feels kind of thing, didn't we, of how far we could push ourselves. And so I took the £60 off and I went in at $250, and that's when I got my first client signed up. And we were all like, oh my God. And then she ended up signing up for a course of sessions, referred somebody else, and they signed up, and it's just snowballed from there. So yeah.
That kind of blew us all away. So basically you were charging £60 and you're like, screw that. It's $250. It's actually $250. And that's the thing, is I give you guys full flexibility to set your own prices. I offer a suggested sliding scale when you're first starting your prices. And I encourage you / require you to increase your prices later on in the program. And also it's completely up to you. You can set them. I don't say it's a sliding scale. You just do the increase. So it's really interesting that you say that, I didn't get any bites at 60 until I raised it to 250, then people started to bite. So I'm curious, why do you feel that happened?
Because the energy that I gave off when I was like, that was like, right, that's an amount. Like, we better be showing up with our A game. We better be showing up like we mean this. And not that I was ever trying not to, but I was hiding away. And then I was like showing up as psychic energy worker Carla, and it took me so long to say that. And once I went in there, I was like, that's who I am. That's what I am now. And yeah, just it was a whole energy shift, just a massive shift.
Yeah. And it was like this. You're like, I sold one and then I sold a 5-pack and then I got another one. It's like, oh, okay. Okay. Awesome. So good. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else have a fun little story they want to share about when you went from free to paid or paid to increasing your prices? Personal. I see everyone's just smiling politely at me. If you're all in person, you would be talking to me right now. So,
well, like everybody else, I had difficulty, crickets when it started charging, but I think it was more of a lesson of self-worth for me, showing up and saying like, I can do this. Like, I am an energy worker. I'm going through the training for it. So it was really just valuing me. And I just started showing up and telling people more about it, and meeting someone in the grocery store. Yeah, I do energy work, and, really standing my ground now to tell people what I do. So it was more like a lesson of me, like I was holding myself back.
Yeah, that sounds like what Carla is like, really owning who you are and what you do. Did you guys feel like that for you? Anyone else feel like that, of like really stepping in to own what you do as a practitioner, as a coach, as a healer? Everyone's smiling and nodding at me. They can't see your faces for some of them. So we'll just imagine that's what they're all doing. They're all smiling politely and nodding at me. Does anybody want to share a particular milestone or a breakthrough or aha, or like, what was your favorite part of being in the IEA training? I know for a lot of you who had the training, you wanted to come for the business stuff, or maybe for the community, or maybe for the camaraderie, or having someone to ask questions to. I'd love to hear from you guys. I guess I'll call on you, Millie, Emily. Okay, hey, and Allison, great. All right, we got people who want to talk to me. All right, go for it, gals.
So I already had an established business for several years when I jumped into IEA, and I came in really for the business. I was already a professional intuitive, I'm an advanced Akashic record practitioner. I was already doing the stuff. But I really wanted to take the business stuff to the next level. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I loved about the IEA business part was like, it really goes into like the nitty gritty piece, right? So like, I know how to make a meditation or an activation or an attunement, but what's the best equipment to use for it? Mm-hmm. What, like little stuff like that maybe doesn't get covered in other business courses. And even some of the really detailed stuff about social media and, the algorithms, which granted, they're always changing, but how the algorithms work and how you could inadvertently be blocking your stuff from being seen because you're doing something that the algorithm doesn't like, right? So I found all of that stuff to be immensely helpful as a small business owner, just to have that support and that the nitty gritty details about how to do things that you don't always get in other courses.
Yeah. And I will say that the social media part was the hardest thing to teach. Well, not everything was the hardest thing to teach, but that part in particular was really challenging, as to not go into training how to use the platform, knowing that in 5 minutes after I teach it, it's going to change. But really teaching, the overall, and like, what is the growth strategy for these platforms and who is on them and how to connect with your soulmate client and connect where they are versus just where you are currently, which I think you've done a really great job of really being visible on all the different platforms that your soulmate client is. I think you do great.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Emily, I saw you unmute yourself. Come on back.
My favorite part of the training was the retreat. I felt like I left the retreat having just like a really good overview of what my business looks like from start to finish. I can see the bigger picture now, and I can see exactly like how different things will come together to create passive income and to really snowball off of there. So I really loved the retreat. I really loved getting to meet the community. That was really fun. And I really liked the strategy and the planning.
Great.
I feel really good about things. That was really awesome.
I'm so we had such a fun moment when my team member Shauna shared that she saw you and your husband Maddie, who's also a business partner. We were doing an M&A call, and this word came out of my mouth, and I'm like, "Is this a word?" And you and Maddie unmute, you're like, "That is a word, and I will tell you about it. It's from this thing." And I'm like, "Oh damn," which got like kind of the eyes on you. So Shauna like found your Instagram, then went to your website. And then she knew we were all at the retreat talking about this. And she's like, "I know that you have a session for this and a session for that." And I go, "So did you buy?" And she's like, "I didn't." I'm like, "Ooh, this is amazing." We all got so excited because it's not often that you have a potential customer in front of you who is willing to tell you why they didn't buy.
Yeah, that was really awesome.
That was so much fun. We all geeked out about it. And through that exercise, we got to understand, what does that first touch point need to be when you are connecting with people and they're actually interested enough to go to your website. What can you give them? And at first it was like, maybe I can give them this meditation I've already made. And she was like, meh. And then I forget exactly what you came up with together, but she was like, "I need that. I want that." It was like, okay, we will make this. And then understanding, how to be clearer on your website communication and, really directing people to the next step. I mean, it was so powerful to see that, and to see like where you can go after that is like so much fun. Because a lot of times we're just in the here and now, like, I just need to get a couple clients this week, and we're not thinking about the broad picture and the impact that we truly could create through the work. Which I thought you just like really opened up so much at the retreat. Yeah,
that was awesome. Yeah,
and we
that
did
was
have fun.
helpful too. Yeah, we definitely had fun. But yeah, I mean, I've been implementing all of the things that I've learned over. Well, I mean, we spent days in the car to finally make it to Arizona, and then now I've spent literally like probably about 16 hours yesterday on the website. So
Oh my gosh, going.
everything implemented, and I can really see the bigger picture, and so I'm feeling really good and
Oh,
excited.
good. I'm so happy. Yeah, we had some really great moments at the retreat where it was a blend of hands-on healing. We all got to do a little hands-on work because, being on Zoom, you don't get to put your hands on people. We got to do advanced aura work, advanced pendulum work, the strategy. We did a lot of intention setting at the very beginning, and it was fun. Every single day, we're like checking off every single one of the intentions that we had individually as well as a collective. And then we had days where we really focused on strategy and breaking through our fears. And I'm not going to say what we did because I don't want to ruin it for anybody in the future. All I will say is that the women who did this exercise also enjoyed a very long cold plunge at the end of the day. So that day was one of the most transformative days for everybody on so many levels, because they were breaking through their blocks. They were focused on their strategy. They were opening up to new levels in their business, and they were challenging themselves with this like cold immersion thing all of a sudden. And it was just really phenomenal to see everybody shift in such a tremendous way and really connect. I mean, one of the things that IEA does, which I'm sure you guys can speak to, is building this network. When you're not confident in yourself or your practice and like, where is it going? What am I doing? And like having people who see you and who believe in you and who are willing to say, yeah, we can practice on each other. Or, you know what, I love that thing that you just did. Is sometimes makes all the difference. So I would love to hear from you guys, how you felt about the community within IEA. Did you feel supported? Did it feel empowering? Did it feel like just another course and nobody's paying attention to you? I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to unmute, just go for it.
I loved the community. I think that was one of the best parts, because in the beginning, I knew like I wasn't confident in myself. And even during the sessions, the people were like, the people in the training were like, you can do this, like, good job. And they would like work me up to believe in myself as well. And we have friendships now that, even after the training, we're connecting, we're doing collaborations together, it's fun. And
I love it.
Those relationships will last forever.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Like, we've made some really good friends. It was nice to share things and have someone to bat these things that were coming up that you might not necessarily wanted to talk about in the session. And then they would encourage you to share it once they'd helped you work through it. And like Jamie says, we've done sessions together, me, you, and Shannon, and it's just been so much fun to do that as well. And especially when we were first getting out there and you felt a little bit more scared, to have our little wing women with us doing it together, it was so nice.
That's so good.
Yeah, I really loved the support that our whole group had, because we were able to, bounce ideas off of one another. We had sessions together. We would send messages and be like, hey, what do you think about this? Or, if there was something that came up or a question, we were, and still are, very much there, to support everybody. So yeah, I really loved the love and support that we, have and still have.
Love that. So
and then you get to meet in person at the retreat.
It's not too late for some people. So I feel like it's been really nice to get this full picture. And part of the IEA training that I didn't know was coming at the beginning when it first came through was the coaching training. And that came through sort of near like the midway point, I would say, for the first round. And it made sense because the first round, it's been mostly myself and my team, getting all the calls and all the links and making sure that the things are getting done. And Amanda is like the woman who is just like the master of all things in the business. And I don't say that lightly. I do truly mean that. If it weren't for Amanda, and I've said this before, I'll say it again. If it weren't for Amanda, this program wouldn't be what it is today, both with the systems, with keeping people accountable, with moving everybody forward through the program, making sure everything is done, and to just hold the space. I mean, she's a beautiful energy to hold the container, not just like, she's not like a stickler, like poking people and, mean. She's wonderful. And she brings this great energy to the space. And when we realize that there is like another level that's ready to be out there, is the coach training, which means that we take the graduates from the first level and we teach them more behind the scenes of how I literally run my business, how the systems literally work, how to help students, how to support them, how to be a coach, and all of the different pieces that really go together to keep students on track and moving forward through the program. So I would love to hear from some of the coach trainees, Shannon and Jamie. You guys have been through the coach training and are about to start coaching. How did you feel the coach training is different than the initial IEA training?
It's definitely more business, right? So the practitioner training was half energy, half business. But this is like really, like you said, behind the scenes work, or like the platforms and the things that the practitioners don't see, like the scheduling and making sure everybody's on track and, a lot of that work. So that's like very interesting too, because, when I was in the practitioner training, I would just email Amanda and say like, I'm having this problem. Can you, and then like now to see on her end, like all the work that she had to figure, I was like, whoa, like Amanda. I'm so sorry I put you through this, but yeah, so it's very interesting. And then also like it's taught me a lot about like I need personally more structure. And so it's given me a little bit of like an outline of how to structure my days, my schedules, what am I going to do on this day? How I'm going to make sure that my clients are keeping track. So it's actually helped me a little bit more versus the one session and like that's it, like following up and more of a journey than, a visit.
Awesome. How about for you, Shannon?
Yeah, I'd have to totally agree with pretty much all of what Jamie said, as well as, being able to see how you can support new students that are coming into the certification and know, the different ways that you can help them along and, realizing just what a wonderful human being Amanda really is.
For sure.
Yeah. So, and then you being able to see definitely the business, the back end of it to kind of see all the ins and outs of how everything works.
Yeah. And I think that's there's two intentions behind that. Number one, so you can become a coach and move people through my program. The second one is so that you can be a coach and move your own students through your own programs. Because what we created has not been created before in the way that we created it. There's not a template. There is not a plug and play system. There's certainly not a software that you just get everything all within a bundle and you just plug in what you need and it just goes. It's all been manually done. And what's so special is like when we built IEA, it was with the intention of this has got to be done from scale. And a lot of the things that we do as business owners, and we think of like the here and now of like the first 5 people and the first 10 people, but like, what if it was 500 and 1,000? Can this system still work and still be manageable with that volume? And so when you keep that in mind, it makes you think bigger. It makes you make different choices. And so part of the training is also to bring you into that thought process and to think bigger for yourself and your own business. How can you apply what we did and how we marketed and how we do the back end in your own business as well? And that's just, it's like, it's just a deeper level of expansion, which I love. And taking people through that customer value journey is the final piece of your program that you're going to get. So I want to wrap this up because I know we've had a lot to share. Is there, and I know we briefly talked about the retreat. We briefly talked about the coaching training. Is there anything else, like if somebody were on the fence around joining IEA, I would love to hear if they were asking you for your advice. I don't know if I should do it. Is it worth the investment? What do I do? I'd love to hear your feedback.
Do it. If you're thinking about do it. It's life changing. If this is what you want to do, just do it.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
I
agree. It's worth the investment. Stop spending the money on, the Instagram ads and really invest in this because you won't be mistaken. It was so much fun.
Yeah, you learned so much about yourself in the process. It's absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah, for me, I know I went into it going, okay, I really want to because I love Emily and like I want to do anything that Emily does. But I was like, I already have a practice. I already am certified. Like, do I really need one more certification? And then I'm like, and do I really have the money? Like, I don't have the money to like spend for this. And for me, it was like, but no, like I would do this hands down if that wasn't an issue. So I took the leap and I'm so grateful I did, because I think if anything, it has not only helped me as a practitioner, like with my own energy, because I kept saying to Emily, I'm like, I don't know why I'm not able to get like fully booked. I don't know why I'm not getting more clients. And that really struck with me. And she's like, well, you need to like make sure that you are taking care of your energy, and the boundaries and things that she helps you set are priceless because, it's kind of, again, you can't pour from an empty cup. And so really making sure that you as a practitioner are holding yourself up, and just the knowledge and the skills and the connections alone. Also, like, return on investment, the connections I'm making are leading me to other things too, that are bringing in more revenue. So yeah, I think it was the best decision I made, even though I have already staff, it just adds additional stuff and just makes me even better.
Love it.
I agree with what all of the ladies have said. And especially like what Millie just said, like I already have the stuff, but it is another tool in the toolbox that can be used as a standalone thing, or it can be used in conjunction with other tools that you have. And I think especially if you're someone that already has a business, but is a typical solopreneur who's in the state of normal solopreneur overwhelm that can happen when you're trying to juggle everything under the sun. I think it's helpful having that added business expertise that just makes things easier when someone just tells you what to do. Like, this is how you do it, right? It's like the smallest thing, but it makes such a difference. So I would say just let it be choiceless, and if your inclination is to do it, but right, just do it anyway. Just do it anyway.
Emily or Susie, you want to share?
Yeah, I would say do it. You learn a lot, not only about business, but you learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about what you can give and how you can help others grow. Like, your whole perception of how life should be changed. Like, especially for me, how to change your thoughts, how to trust your intuition, how to manifest. And it's about, leading with your heart and giving all that you've got. And yeah, totally, it was worth every penny. If don't be on the fence, just do it.
Thanks. Well, thank you all for being here. I truly admire all of you individually as amazing practitioners and women. I love that you got to do this podcast with me. I love that we got to get together. And I'm really excited for what's to come. And for folks who've been interested in the training, you can get more information at emilyarons.com/IEA. And I am doing a brand new training just for folks who are on the wait list. So if you are considering joining, but you're like not so sure, I am doing an exclusive workshop called Breaking Up with Broke. It's ushering a new era of impact-driven coaches, healers, and leaders. You can sign up for the wait list for IEA, and we will send you the invitation to that workshop through that. So emilyarons.com/IEA to get on that wait list for the workshop and to join the program when it does open. And we'll open the doors on June 15th. So we'll see you all then. Thank you all so much for being here. I love you all. We'll see you either at the end of your programs or we'll see you after. Either way. Thanks again for being here, everyone.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.